So, Ed Mark?
All right, thank you. Okay, I'll delete it there. Well, listen, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In less than 100 hours, the polls open. In less than 100 hours, we will begin what this tour, the words of this tour are, and what's happening across the country, and that is, we're making a decision, we Americans are, that it's time for a comeback team. America's comeback team is led by Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan. And across the country now, the people are surging to vote early and get to the polls because they know the choice is between the Obama vision, the Democratic vision, and what we know is America. That's why we need, in the next less than 100 hours, to do everything we can to get in place to make sure that we are part of America's great comeback team. Nothing could be more important. Nothing could be. I was with someone, I'm not sure who it was. As we walked in, we talked, and they said, this election, he said, I'm 72, I've been voting in elections my whole life. This is the most important election, he said. And I said, I'm 42, and this is the most important election of my life. If you're the greatest generation, or if you're a millennial or a new voter, whoever you are, this is the election of your generation. Because the choice now is so clear. The vision of Obama, over here we sat and talked, the vision of Obama is not just government control of health care and the economy and education and all the ways of life. It's not just deciding who wins and who loses. It's also deciding who lives and who dies. For the first time in American history, in North Carolina at the Democratic National Convention, we had the Democratic Party announce their true beliefs, first time in history, that is, abortion on demand till the 9th month of gestation, till the 9th month of pregnancy, paid for with tax dollars. It's nice that they laid bare the facts, but we Missourians have to look up and say, that's what you believe? That's what's at stake. So America's comeback is being led, by the way, by a governor. A man who's done a few things in his life. He's raised a family. He's a man of faith, put his faith in action, built a business. When he had a chance, he ran for office to serve his community. By the way, it sounds a little bit like Dave Spence. Man raised a family. If you haven't met Dave's wife and his family, man of faith. Man decided when he was, after building a business, a way to serve was run for governor. We need Missouri's comeback team. It needs what Missouri needs, and why our comeback team is led by a guy named Dave Spence is because we know that the career politicians are too often now corrupt and too often deciding who wins and, as Governor Romney said, who loses. That's what's at stake. And up and down this ticket now, whether you have an opponent or you're running against an incumbent, we've got a choice we have to make clear to our friends and our neighbors at every level. The choice is Obama's vision for America and a vision that's embodied by the comeback team, Romney Ryan. And our vision comes out of the shared values that were described at our founding in our birth certificate. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness didn't come from the king, didn't come from the government, came from a creator that each of us has because we were given it by the creator. And coming from that, we said, let's build a place where equality and justice and opportunity will reign. And for 200 plus years, it's been the envy of the world, and people have come to make a better life. And that's what's at stake. And at every level, we'll talk in a moment about the treasurer, we'll talk about the governor, the attorney general. When you have career politicians with the Obama vision, what they do is they look and say, we don't care about your shared values, we don't care about your constitution, we don't care about your rule of law, we care about the politics of crass power. And we will decide who succeeds or who fails. Across the state of Missouri, we have pockets of poverty so profoundly bad that if it were Central Africa, the Hollywood people would fly in and have telethons and gather. And yet we have a Democrat Attorney General and Governor who refuse to address a system of education and criminal justice that send these people, that settle these people, that keep these people, our neighbors, our friends, our brothers and sisters, in a life that's beneath what we as Americans should believe in. And that's why guys like Dave Spence are doing this. He gets up in the morning and they say terrible things about him overnight. Well, by the way, I get up in the morning and they say terrible things on me on TV. But you get up and this is what you do, because if you can't run on principle, you can't run on plans, you can't run on truth, you run on the crass politics of power and personal destruction. And on election day across Missouri and across America, the people of this country and our state are going to say, you know what? You had your chance. We thought you meant it when you talked about helping and service. But now we know what the Obama vision is. And we're signing on for a comeback for America that's going to be led by Romney and Ryan and Spence and Martin and McNary. And that's what we have to do. So I need to ask you to do three things, if you will. First, pray. Pray for Dave and me and Cole. Pray for our opponents. Pray for our president. Keep looking back in the Bible to see if it's been changed. But it says you have to pray for your enemies and your opponents. So we have to keep doing it. But we need to do that. If we start on our knees, there's no telling how high we can rise. But we have to do it. And then on election day, you have to vote. 96 hours from now, you got to vote. 25% of people who say they care about pro-life, say they care about the Second Amendment, say they care about smaller government, 25% of them don't go to the polls. Your job is to make your neighbor, who you know cares about these things, get him to the polls. I met a woman right now getting a cup of coffee at the hotel. She said she's traveling on election day. I said, will you vote for me? She said, I'm traveling on election day. I said, you got to vote tomorrow. You can go down to the clerk's office. You can get an absentee ballot. If you're traveling on election day out of town, she's going to Baltimore to see her dad because of the hurricane. I said, you got to vote. She said, I didn't know I could do that. Everybody needs to vote. You have to be a part of making sure that your friends and neighbors vote. There's too much at stake. And then between now and then, we have 96 hours. I don't plan to sleep. If you want to take a nap during that time, that's fine. But otherwise, you got to come down here. You got to ask the chairman, what can you do? Make phone calls. I know you've already made hundreds of phone calls, which have turned into thousands of phone calls. You've knocked on doors. You have to do all that for us. And you've got to send the message. You've got to tell your friends what's at stake. Because, what is it, Jim? 108 hours when the polls close. Then we'll know we've done everything we can. And then across the country, we'll see what's happening in Missouri. The polls in Missouri, Mitt Romney's up by 15 points in Missouri. Dave Spence is trailing by 2 points in Missouri. Ed Martin's trailing by 3 points. This guy's winning. Where's Cole? He's winning already. Shane Scholar's winning. Peter Kinder's winning. Why? Because the people in Missouri are looking up and they're saying, we can't have more of this. We need to come back. So we got to rush to the finish line and make sure, by the way, he's going to win because there's like 12% undecided, which means they're all going to pray. If you're undecided at this point, you're not in there going, well, Nixon is pretty good. You're saying, I just don't know yet, but I'm going to go in and punch R and get on with it. So we got that was at stake, and we need to do it. And then come January 2013, my only promise I make on the campaign trail is this. I promise you, on January 2013, I'm going to be part of a team that is fearless in fighting for the shared values that made this country great, in defending our Constitution, and protecting the integrity of the rule of law. And if my brothers and sisters in the Republican Party don't see that this moment is made for that fight, then we'll get them out and we'll get new ones in. So we're going to do that. Thank you very much. Help us be part of the comeback team for America and Missouri. God bless you. Thank you.